I want to bring in Sam Hamada, CEO of Privco, a company that specializes in financial data related to privately held companies. Also with us is our editor-at-large, Cory Johnson. Sam, let me start with you. What are you hearing about why this is happening? Why so soon?
Well, what we're hearing is that this is definitely a permanent halt. So let's be clear, this is not a trading suspension. This is a permanent halt to all pre-IPO Facebook trading on secondary markets. So what we're hearing from sources is that this definitely is the last step before the roadshow begins. We expect the roadshow to begin probably a week from Monday is what the deal team is aiming for. The roadshow video itself has already been recorded, and that should be posted online as early as sometime mid-next week. So this really is the final step. This is it.
So, Cory, this isn't that unusual, is it, for trading on the secondary markets to stop ahead of an IPO? I know this is sort of uncharted territory, these secondary markets, but has this happened before?
Secondary markets are unusual. This is uncharted territory in that we haven't really had an active secondary market before. This current spate of IPOs. I didn't say bubble, I just said spate of IPOs. But we've got this sort of new paradigm where you've got companies with substantial revenues that might have gone public in an earlier period but aren't now, are waiting. As a result, these secondary markets have sprung up, so you have sort of new rules that may have been in the books for a long time, didn't really matter. They sure matter now, and so we're starting to see a new set of circumstances ahead of these IPOs.
So, Sam, you're saying the roadshow could start as early as next week. The IPO could happen in April. We're seeing other reports it could be May. How do you reconcile all of this information as to when this is actually going to happen?
Well, there are a couple key data points besides confirming with sources. The target is that week of April 30. So you get April 30 to May 4th is really the target week. But Facebook really doesn't have that much leeway in delaying beyond that. What people have to understand is by May 15th, those first quarter financials are due to be published. They must publish them by that date if they don't go public. And so what that requires is amending the entire S1 and redistributing it to all possible investors. It means putting off the roadshow, and it also has a risk that the first quarter numbers won't look that great. And seasonally for Facebook, the first quarter is a weak quarter. So there's absolutely no reason for this IPO to happen anytime past, say, May 5th, May 6th. It's just not going to happen.
Cory, what is it that actually determines the timing of the IPO? Does Facebook have much input here, or is it really the SEC's decision?
Well, they've got to clear the SEC hurdles, and from what we hear, that's been going relatively okay. We haven't seen the number of S1 amendments that we've seen with other companies. Those could still come, but they seem to have been going a little bit slower here. And you got to imagine the SEC is taking a really careful look at this company above all others because it is going to make so many headlines if they screw up and miss something. Facebook is timing this to see, it looks like, to get the deal done before the summer. So they want to do it when the market is at its most active, when most of the participants in there. The market clearly has been going bonkers since the beginning of the year, and they want to participate in that as well. But not just because of the successful IPOs or at least the initial pops that you saw from Zynga and before that Groupon last year. They want to get out while the getting's good. The market seems to be really strong right now, and they want to participate in that. They want to sell as much stock as possible for as much money as possible, and they want to do that soon.
So just 2 more days for Facebook to trade as a private company. Sam, how do you think this is going to impact the trades that happen on Thursday and Friday? Is the price going to go up?
Absolutely. I mean, the only current auction open right now is on SharesPost. There's 150,000 shares available. So anyone watching this should know this is the last chance between now and Friday at noon to essentially register at SharesPost and try to bid on these shares. But that's a very small amount. That's about $6 million worth. And you're going to get people putting in wild bids. To be honest with you, $50, $60. You could see a valuation of $150 billion when this auction ends Friday.
And Sam, we know Facebook has already had some meetings with investors. Mark Zuckerberg was not at those meetings thus far. How are investors and analysts feeling about that? Do you expect him to be part of the actual roadshow, presumably starting next week.
Yes, absolutely. There's no question he'll play a part, but we understand it will be a small part. He'll do the normal introducing of Facebook, and then he'll introduce Sheryl Sandberg. He'll walk through the sales strategy of the company, and then David Ebersman, who's a fantastic CFO, will walk through all the financials, and then Mark Zuckerberg will give a brief, closing to it. But he'll play a pretty small role, but he has to, barring, a major illness, that guy's got to show up for this one.
Cory, your thoughts? Does Mark Zuckerberg need to be there?
It would certainly help a lot. He has so much control of this company. I wouldn't invest in a company with a guy with this much control unless I knew what this guy was about, but his work shows what his work is. I got to say what Sam said about people buying shares in the secondary market, that there's only 2 days left to do that. Those shares are likely locked up after the IPO. Those are insider shares quite often. If those shares are locked up after the IPO, that means an investor is going to sit in the stock for 180 days after the IPO. If we're talking about 30 days from now, that's about 210 days. Even I can do that math. But what we've seen from other recently public companies is that the stock trades down into that 180-day waiting period. That could be bad news for an investor that really is buying into a lockup here. There's a lot of reasons to sell before that lockup as well.
That's part of the reason Zynga is having this secondary offering just 3 months into the lockup period. We will see how Facebook handles it. Sam Hamada of Privco, our editor-at-large. Cory Johnson, thanks so much.